Hey everyone, it's me, Hallease, endeavoring to persevere, as always, coming at you with some producers' creative commentary for the latest vlogumentary on the channel, Am I Losing Him? If you haven't checked it out, it's a really short vlogumentary for the channel, and I think it's like maybe 2 minutes, so I'll link to it in the Eye of Sauron. So yeah, this is something that I do to kind of showcase the creative process for how I come up with the vlogumentaries, and then also to give you all some technical skill on editing, specifically in Premiere Pro, but a lot of the things that I do cross over to whatever editing software you're using. So if you're here specifically to see how I technically achieved some of the stuff that you see in that short vlogumentary, check out the time code that I will put somewhere on the screen right now to see the technical aspect of it. But for now, let's get into the creative. So overall with this vlogumentary, I really wanted to give Mr. Hallease a voice. If you've been following the channel for a while, then you know that currently we're displaced and we're suing the seller. I think y'all have gotten to see a little bit of him talk about the struggle of it, but it's mostly been from my point of view. So this video was born out of a conversation, out of many conversations that Mr. Hallease and I have had about the house and our feelings towards it. One of the many conversations that we were having as we were trying to sort of be each other's therapist, if you will, through this process, he was trying to describe to me how frustrated he gets when family, friends, coworkers ask about what's going on, knowing that they mean well, but for him, it's basically it's like having to relive the trauma. It feels like I'm, stuck in the ocean and I'm trying to swim, but like I'm being weighted down. And of course, as his wife, I was listening and trying to comfort him as much as I possibly could, but I immediately mentally went to visuals. I immediately saw the shot that I have of him floating, trying to swim in the ocean via the drone. Like I saw that shot in my head as we're having that conversation. And so after the conversation, I quickly busted out my little notebook. I always keep a little notebook and pen with me if lightning strikes, because I like to write things down rather than type them out on my phone. So that way I can have that kinetic memorization and learning, and it puts me back into the moment later. The weekend that we were in Padre, leading up to that weekend, we had already scheduled to go do that. It was actually us going to Padre to celebrate our anniversary together. I said, hey, I have this idea based on the ocean conversation we had. Do you mind if I shoot just a little bit and play around with this idea with you? I think it'll be a really cool film for the channel. So really visually, it was about taking his metaphor and just running with it, and showcasing that idea as much as I could in a very simplistic way. I ended up recording him saying everything after the fact. We had already had a few conversations, again, about the initial conversation that this idea was born out of. We then went to Padre. I shot everything that I felt like I needed to get to hopefully tell the story well. And then after we came back to San Antonio, I just grabbed my microphone and sort of asked him to just riff on that idea again. I had taken a few notes in my notebook and I showed those to him, but I more or less just let him talk for about 5 minutes, and then from that 5 minutes, I cut together what you end up hearing as his voiceover in the piece. Now, there are a few technical tips I can give to this vlogumentary that I think can help you on whatever kind of content you're trying to create, so let's hop over to Premiere. First thing I used is actually in the opening shot. I used warp stabilizers. Warp stabilizer is a feature within Premiere Pro that basically stabilizes your footage. Here is the original version of that opening shot, and then here it is now with warp stabilizer put on it. Huge difference, right? Warp stabilizer. It's amazing. Now, if you've worked with any kind of action cam, you know that the audio on most action cams is not that good, especially once you put them in their water casing housing. Everything's gonna sound a little muffled and or just really loud and like blown out and just like peaking all over the place. I knew I wouldn't take out high quality audio recording equipment though to get the sound of waves and things like that to add into it later, especially when you're in post, you know, then you're trying to get into the details of like syncing wave sounds with wave visuals, and it's like, nah, we're not doing all of that. We need to make the action cam audio work, okay? So Premiere Pro has started to add little like tab features built in based on what kind of editing you're doing within the program. So I always go to the audio tab, which brings up the audio panel, and something I usually do to most of my background music, or if I have sort of ambient sound like this that I want to include in a piece, click on the balanced background music. And what that does is it throws a lot of different presets natively from Premiere into the audio to bring it down and drop it down, so that way it balances better with whatever dialogue you may have. I don't know why, but a glitch effect just felt right. You know, in my heart of hearts, I was like, glitch effect needed. So this glitch effect is actually from one of my favorite pre-bought sets that I got from Envato, and I'll link to it in the description box. It's a transitions pack that is full of tons of transitions, and this glitch effect was one of the many transitions you can get. What I really love about this transition pack though is all the transitions are built into Premiere already, and literally all I have to do is drag and drop it over the two clips that I want to have the transition. I can adjust the audio if I want to, but I keep it pretty simple. I don't really mess with anything else. Like I said, I'll link to this transition pack in the description box below. So yeah, those are some technical tips for how I shot and produced, edited, wrote, all the titles you want to give me. Am I losing him? If you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments below. If you're new here, subscribe if the spirit moves you. I'm Hallease, and I'll see you when I see you.